get you the latest from our reporters on ground. Joining me is Ankit Tyagi, who's in Gaya. Gaya is a bellwether seat. Ankit, you just spoke to Prem Kumar, who's the agriculture minister. Quite gimmicky there, coming on his cycle, but he faces quite a tough fight. This constituency of Gaya, where you are reporting from, is bellwether. It has switched over years.
Not particularly Gaya town, where Mr. Prem Kumar is the candidate. He has, in fact, Preeti been elected for the last 7 consecutive times. I mean, for the last 7 times he has represented Gaya town. But the problem, as far as this seat this time, is going to be that the Congress candidate is also getting, in the Mahagathbandhan, for the first time, the left parties combined is also fighting the election. And there is a large population also of the migrant laborers, the landless laborers here. If that also is transferred towards the Congress, then possibly we have a close fight at hand. There is also a rebel, in fact, candidate who is fighting this as an independent former BJP member. And what also adds to Mr. Prem Kumar's problems is the fact that a large population or a significant population of the minority vote is consolidating behind the Mahagathbandhan. So it's not going to be an easy seat for him to win this time. You were talking about gimmicks. In fact, there has been a complaint which has been lodged against him because he went inside the polling station to cast his ballot wearing a mask which had Prime Minister Narendra Modi and himself on the mask with the BJP symbol, and he was also wearing the BJP symbol, on his kurta, a muffler of sorts. So that is a clear violation of the Model Code of Conduct. And I asked him the question, why is Nitish Kumar missing from his mask? He's the chief minister, tried to skirt it off and said that it is Prime Minister Narendra Modi who cuts across, all sections when it comes to popularity. So there is some sort of a late realization in the BJP as well that Nitish Kumar's anti-incumbency could be detrimental, and that is why on crucial seats they are relying more on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's face than on the work of the chief minister.
All right, stay on with me, Ankit. We're going to keep coming back to you. Let's cut across to our political analyst. I have with me Javed Ansari, who's joining us. Javed, with the way things are panning out, with what Ankit also suggested, there is anti-incumbency. It seems it's not going to be a slam dunk kind of election, which was poised before for the NDA. There seems to be a strong anti-incumbency as well. Will it be stemmed is another question. But when we are talking about, candidates facing off against each other, do you think it's disadvantaged Mahagathbandhan because most seats where the BJP is fighting, it's in direct contest with the Congress?
The Mahagathbandhan had a clear division. As far as the seats where the upper caste, which is dominated by upper caste, the Congress has gone to the Congress quota. And the rest have been shared by the left parties and a lot of them by the RJD. Now, it's anybody's guess on who the electorate will opt for in a face-off between the Congress and the BJP. Like I was talking to a retired bureaucrat, a very senior bureaucrat who is now retired from Bihar, and he was saying that just as Nitish Kumar will ensure the defeat of the NDA, Tejaswi will have to ensure victory for the Mahagathbandhan, and this includes the Congress. So Nitish Kumar and the Congress, both weak tickets, weak allies on the respective tickets, and it all depends on how much of the heavy lifting can be done by the BJP as far as JDU is concerned and Tejaswi as far as the Congress is concerned. Congress obviously will not do as well as Tejaswi, but Tejaswi appears to have become the symbol. And I come back to the same point, that when this election is polarized between those for or those against Nitish, the collateral damage will be against those who are with Nitish, and the unintended advantage would also go to some of the allies of Tejaswi Yadav.
Stay with me. I just want to quickly give out the voting percentage. Till now, it's a 7.1%. When for someone who's covered Bihar, one can say no matter how astute, politically aware, the voter of Bihar is, how politically aware the state is. Everywhere you go, they talk politics. Extremely smart voters, but they just don't vote. And as compared to other states, Bihar has usually recorded abysmal voting turnout. Till now, it's 7.1%. Will it rise? Yes. How much is the question? I also want to welcome right now Rahul Verma, fellow Center for Policy Research. He's also joining us. Appreciate you joining us, Mr. Verma. We're talking about the basic X factors right now. What could actually matter this time around? Anti-incumbency, yes. Number one, the RJD, would it be able to go beyond its vote base? Number two, will the cash grain, which the offers which the NDA has been rolling out, handouts, will that work? Because the Bihari does know which side of the bread is buttered, and right now at least hope is better. What they have in hand is better than hope.
That is correct. You're absolutely right about these three factors you have listed. The two more important factors in this election is going to be, one, basically whether BJP manages to solve the confusion which was created in last 10-15 days, that Nitish, they are trying to sideline Nitish and trying to win more seats in a post-election scenario. If BJP wins more seats, they might install their own chief minister. So the first issue is whether BJP manages to sort of like convince its upper caste voters to turn out in JDU seats. Mind you, this is the first phase where JDU is contesting more seats than BJP. So this phase in that sense is going to set the narrative. If that confusion is resolved, given the arithmetic, NDA has some sort of lead and they will build on that lead. But as you rightly said, in last 10-15 days, we have seen RJD and Tejasvi Yadav coming back. The campaign rallies are attracting lots of voters, and especially given there are some discontentment against Chief Minister Nitish Kumar. This also becomes crucial for the opposition to carry on to that momentum. Whoever sort of like loses in the first phase, it will become really, really hard for them to come back in the second and third phase. And second, as you pointed out, the turnout so far is around 7%. Given the pandemic situation, we still need to sort of like wait. But whether Bihar would be able to turn out, it's like sort of like as they have been turning out in the past, or the turnout is going to be very low. We know that if turnout is low, upper segments of the society, which is upper caste and
turnout, Mr. Verma, traditionally, Bihar has always seen, it's a dichotomy in the state, politically aware but will not go out to vote as compared to other states.
That's correct. This is a problem across North India or in most of the poorer states, because a lot of population is registered to vote in the electoral rolls, but they migrate and work outside the state. During elections, you see lower turnout. What you have also seen in past two elections in Bihar, that women turnout has been higher compared to men turnout in elections. And that's precisely the reason, because men in these states are not living there. They are working in Delhi, in Mumbai, in Gujarat, in Chennai, in many more places.
All right, okay. Well, most migrants are back. They still haven't gone, back to the various cities that they were working in. Will that change the dynamics in terms of the voting percentage? We'll only know by the end of the evening, where the first phase is concerned.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.